Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 231 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I'm here with Trevor. We actually don't have Damon.
Yep. Dad mode strikes again.
So I know Damon had kind of teased being on the show to talk about his trip, and who knows, he might show up. You never know with Damon. But,
he's just right in the middle of it with his kids, right? Like, yeah, it is what it is. He's got one of those weekends where we had to move stuff around to make this work, and even then it didn't work for him. So it is what it is, right? So. Yep. Especially this time of year with all the sports going on and everything, it can be a little bit challenging. So, but hopefully we'll have Damon, either somehow randomly in the second half of the show or next week. So, but instead of Damon, we do have Jodi from DVC Resale Market joining us. And Jodi, thanks for joining the show again.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell, we always have new listeners coming in, and so some of them might not know who you are. So could you talk a little bit about your background and what you do and what your experience is? Sure.
I work with the DVC Resale Market, and I, of course, started working at the Disney Vacation Club as a sales guide there. Did that for about 5 years, and then when this company, DVC Resale Market, started, I was their first official employee. So I've seen a lot of growth and changes, and it's been a fun ride for sure.
Gone from a tiny company to a giant conglomerate.
Yeah, mom and pop to this. Yes, for sure. I mean, we were really working on just bare basics. So it's been really fun. And, you learn a lot too, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Jodi, we were actually just talking the other day. We've partnered with World of DVC / DVC Resale Market now for, I don't know, probably the 5 years, and all of a sudden our listeners are like, "Wait, DVC Resale Market sells tickets?" Like, we had no idea that you guys sell park tickets and like discounted park tickets. It was a whole new thing that we were completely unaware of.
Yeah, it's a newer program, so don't feel bad that you didn't know.
Okay, well,
but yeah, we've got they're doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff with the travel agency component of it, where you could do swaps and trades and use your points for cruises and all of that, which has always been something you couldn't do if you bought resale. And it really wasn't a good value when you use it in that respect with Disney, but with our trades, it's more user friendly. And then, now you can definitely go to our site and get information on discounted tickets for the parks, Universal and Disney.
What about Peppa Pig Land? Can I get a?
I'll check on that for you.
I'm with that.
Tom's done his once in a lifetime trip to Peppa Pig Land, so I think he's
good. You say once in a lifetime, Trevor, but my daughter asks me all the time. She goes, "Daddy, can we go back to Peppa Pig?" And I'm like, "Oh, no. I mean, we did a whole week at Disney, and all you're talking about is Peppa Pig. Come on now."
The kids always do that. I went to one time when we were in Paris, and they have this, I don't know if anyone's ever been there, but by the Louvre. Oh, and here's my gardener with the blower. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Don't worry about
it.
Window.
All good.
Oh my goodness.
Just right on cue. Like,
that's okay. That's how it goes.
And they have the cheesiest carnival you've ever seen in your life out by the Louvre. And this is when I still worked for the Disney Vacation Club, had free tickets, could, go in whenever I want. And we probably spent $200 on tickets for them to ride these just god awful, not even roller coasters. They were awful. So yes, it's like, they always joke about the Christmas presents with kids. They play with the box and not the toy.
With box. Yeah. This is no offense to Peppa Pig Land. It was cute,
right?
But it also, the rides there were kind of off the shelf, like carnival rides that they just threw some Peppa Pig theming onto, which is fine. My daughter loved it, but I'm just like, can you appreciate the Disney thing a little more? Which she does. She wants to go back to Disney World too, but she just is still talking about Peppa Pig Land too. So
well, they're little. They like that stuff. It's just funny. Hard for us to understand, but yeah.
Exactly. So Jodi, we actually got quite a lot of questions for you. But I wanted to start though, just kind of the state of the resale market of DVC in general. I have seen reports that the, as people call it, the Rofer monster has reawoken, and they are starting to buy contracts back again. And I don't know if you can give us kind of a general kind of rundown on what's going on. I think that would be good.
Sure. Yeah. So, out of the blue, because, in case for those that didn't know, they'd only bought back 4 year to date as of a couple of weeks ago, right? 4 all year. So,
so for 8 months of the year, they only bought 4 total contracts. It's just crazy. Like, what were they averaging before that? Do you know? Like, I mean,
the year before that, it was the biggest year ever. I don't remember exactly how many, but it was I want to say like a 30% buyback, which is unheard of. It was right around that. And then, just the other day, we got notice of 3 buybacks. I know that that's not a lot, but it was just a little, kind of sparked a little interest, sparked our interest because it had been so long. And the 4 that they had bought back before were all Copper Creek. And this one was 2 Animal Kingdoms and a Grand Floridian. So just kind of, you wonder, what are they doing? But they bought back 3. I mean, it's not, they haven't opened the floodgates yet, but we kind of, wonder if, before the end of the year, their fiscal year, are they going to use some money and buy back some contracts? And, obviously if they do, that changes the dynamic of the resale market tremendously, especially the last year when they were really one of the biggest buyers of resale. So it definitely eats up the inventory, and then you get out of balance again. Prices go up and all of that. So hopefully, it's nice that they buy some back, right? It keeps everything in balance. It's just when it gets to be too extreme one way or the other, that's not necessarily a great thing. But we shall see. It's interesting.
I think a lot of people probably don't realize that Disney's fiscal year ends in the third quarter, right? So
yes.
So they're a little bit different, right? But
yes. And that's why last year in the fall, we saw such that was like the big push. We were getting, it seemed like 50 a week. We were getting hit left and right. I mean, again, it's for salespeople and sellers, it's not a bad problem. But you do feel bad for buyers who, there were some that were on their 5th try, and then you feel bad for them. But because it's tiring and you get your hopes up. But at the end of the day, they did end up getting what they wanted and saved money doing so. So I think it's worth it, but you just gotta be prepared that it could happen. But I think buyers still have a really good chance right now. It is an excellent time to buy. We've got great deals. They haven't started snatching things up yet. I mean, they bought back 3. Are they going to buy, is this the beginning of them buying a bunch back? Maybe. We don't know. But if they do, it will affect availability and pricing. So it is definitely a very good time to buy right now, for sure.
So you're saying it's a buyer's market right now, or are we there? Okay, so we're in a buyer's market, not necessarily. Because I was going to say, I have a search out there with your app, right? And I get alerts for a specific Animal Kingdom use year. And I got an alert the other day. It was a 150 point contract or something like that. I was like, oh, now available. And like within 5 minutes, I got the other alert saying it was sold. And I was like, woo, man, there must be a high demand for contracts at the moment if they're moving that quick within 5 minutes.
Well, good point. Yeah. It's not all of our contracts, unfortunately, are moving that quick, but we did run the promotion. I don't know if you saw it, the Red Hot Deal promotion. It does end at the end of August, and it was a push to sort of help with the inventory that is piling up. We don't want an imbalance one way or the other, as I mentioned, and so we had this Red Hot Deal where the contracts had to be listed 10% or more, but at least 10% less than what our, estimator said. But it was full price only. So like yesterday I sold a double point Animal Kingdom for $110 per point. So,
oh, wow.
And it sold super fast. I don't know if
it actually might have been that one. I didn't look at the details of it. I just saw, the alert, and it said like, it said Animal Kingdom, and I was like, oh, okay. And then like before I even had a chance to look at it, it was already gone. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to look at it now.
yeah. It's if they're so with these good deals, and not necessarily everything that's not a red hot deal doesn't mean it's not a great deal. Some people might just say, well, I want to leave it open for negotiation, but they're still priced well. But sellers do have to be, aware and be, they have to be competitive, and hopefully, their agent that they're listing with is going over the comps with them and all of that. And it kind of, making sure that they're positioned well. And then some people are like, well, if everybody's at, for an example, $110 a point, I'm going to list mine at 105 or 100 per point. I just want to be done with this, or I just want mine to stand out. And then those are the ones that they get snatched up really quick. So the good deals are selling super fast.
Okay.
So yeah, but it is there's still quite a bit of inventory, although the red hot deals has helped alleviate that. But yeah, I'd still say it's a buyer's market.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good time.
That's good. So it's a good time to buy. Okay. Trevor, you want to do this first question here?
Yeah. So,
or Jodi, is there anything else you want to, I'm sorry, Trevor, is there anything else, Jodi, you want to mention or promote before we get into questions, or anything else you want to talk about specific to the resale market? I mean, I don't know if there's any other promotions going on or.
No, I mean, you guys are proactively asked. I mean, right of first refusal was a little bit of news, and then the red hot deal. And again, it doesn't have to be necessarily a red hot deal to be a good deal, but right now there's a lot on the market and there's a lot to choose from, and it's still a buyer's market, and that can change quickly if Disney starts buying contracts back.
Except for Animal Kingdom with an April use year, because I've been looking for.
Yeah, there's always, of course, it's the one that you're looking for.
It's the one
it's
I
everyone,
want, yeah.
But that, of course,
I'm
story of my life.
I'm having the same problem with the Poly June use year. Same thing. I see them come every once in a while, but it's never close to what I want.
Not the good deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem I have too, Trevor, because I got a really weird contract when I bought the Animal Kingdom contract I want to get rid of. It was a 110 point contract, which I feel like I've never seen one like that again. So for me to replace that, I don't want to go much higher, but I also don't want to go much lower, right? So really ideally 100 point contract would be fine. 150 is probably too much. I really don't want to pay more. I want to kind of swap them so I have all the same use year. So I mean, I get it. I have a very specific thing that I'm looking for, and that's probably why I'm having such a hard time. But I'm still like, man, come on. What's got to come up that will work for me? So
yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say the app's the best way to do that, which of course you already have. So yeah.
Yeah, I already got the alert set up. I'm just waiting for the right one. So Trevor, what were you going to say?
My issue is that I'm looking specifically for a 50 point contract, which I know it's a smaller contract, right? And it's because I'm kind of in the same situation as you, Tom, where I got some direct points, and then I got a resale contract, and I don't need another 100 points. I only need another 50 points added on, which it's very, I know it's very specific, and it's very, I know that those contracts don't show up very often because I guess Disney doesn't like doing smaller point contracts, which is kind of understandable because
yeah.
I want to know how a 110 point contract existed. I didn't even think you could do that. I just thought everything was in increments of 25. No,
you could buy 62 points if you wanted to.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, before I bought it, I was like, I just didn't realize you could do it like that. So, but then once I bought it, obviously, it was like, okay, well. Yeah, I could do 110, but
yeah, when I was a guide working at Disney, we'd have to explain the point chart, and they're like, "Oh, I want to go at this time every year," and they'd buy it would drive. And I'm not like an OCD kind of a person, but when someone would, say it said you need 403 points to stay in a 2-bedroom this week, and they go, "Okay, I'm going to buy 403," and my head would want to explode. I'm like, "No, just please buy 400 or buy 425. 403 is going to make me crazy." It was the weirdest thing. It's just those odd contract numbers freak me out. I don't know.
Plus, it's going to change too, right?
So, that bugs me. That bugs me too. Is that knowing that year over year it fluctuates? It's like I would never be that like I want exactly this amount of points because next year next year you could come up short, right? Like,
right. And I, of course, explain that, but they just
people don't listen, right?
They just yeah. And I'm like, okay, but it was always so unnatural and weird for me. But
I get that. All right, Trevor, you want to do this first question here?
Yeah. So Jeff wrote into us. He says, my sister's family, 2 adults and 2 tween girls, is planning a Disney World trip next summer and Alani the summer after. She's considering adding a resale contract to our existing shared family contract for those trips. I suggested she could sell the resale contract in roughly 6 years once her girls are in college. Any tips or suggestions on this strategy? The shared family contract is their parents' contract, their original direct contract, and all Jeff and his sister were added to the deed a few years ago. So is there anything, I guess, that you would suggest for them, looking into something like this?
To buy a contract and then sell it 6 years later, that just feels, wow.
Well,
I mean,
don't sell it.
Or you could rent out the points. I mean, depending, with the exception of maybe the last year or two, people could buy something now and sell it 6 years later and make money. So it's traditionally not been a terrible idea, right? Because the price of DVC has always gone up, again, with the exception of the last couple crazy years. But, but to your point, with the way things have been lately and not having a crystal ball, to buy knowing you're going to sell maybe in 6 years, maybe just rent points, but also they don't know for sure they're going to sell. I think maybe he just wants to know, and I'm the same way. I always want to know, do I have an out? Like, what's my worst case scenario? If I have to sell, or if I, whatever, if I want to sell. Typically I can't imagine buying something now and 6 years later, you not being able to at least recoup your cost. More than likely the price is going to go up. Unless something really strange happens, stranger than what's happened before. As far as if she does buy another contract, I don't know that I would buy it separate if I were her. She can, of course, They can pool their points together and all of that. And she can certainly let the other family use those points. In other words, I'm not saying it to be selfish, but, if with the idea that they are going to have to maybe sell down the road, I think it's a cleaner thing if it's just in her family's name, because if they want to match up the membership number and all of that, then everybody's got to be on her deed, sign it. And then if she goes to sell, it's just, could be a hassle.
Yeah.
So I would probably say if she does decide to buy a contract, have it kind of be in her own name. And again, of course, use it with your family and, transfer points and stuff like that. But I think it'd be cleaner if she did it in her name only. But I think at the end of the day, probably has to assess if she does really think she would sell, or if that's just sort of a cushion she wants to feel comfortable with that she can if she needed to. But if she's only going to use it a little bit, maybe renting's a better option.
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually wouldn't have. Not that I wouldn't have thought of renting, but I guess my mind is always like, buy a contract, maybe that's where my head goes. But I mean, to your point though, they could buy the contract and then rent it out, but it totally makes sense though to like do it in your own name and not add it to the shared family one. Sorry, Trevor, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that, renting though becomes, if you're talking about hassle, again, it becomes an extra thing you have to do if you're going to continue renting those points. So, back to your original point, Jodi, that, it may make more sense to just rent the points themselves if it's only going to be, they know for the next 5 to 6 years, or I agree with you, keeping, the less people involved, the better is kind of my opinion.
Sure.
just cause when you're trying to get signatures or, when you are ready to sell, it is easier.
Yeah. and I know, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying, being, with what I do, when I see people selling and they have like their 4 kids on the deed, it's a challenge, because they all have to sign the listing agreement, then they have to sign the sales contract, then they all have to get it notarized, the closing documents. And I mean, it's not a huge deal, but I just like to make my life easier whenever I can. And so I just think that's a little bit cleaner. And I'm with you. Of course, I sell resale. I think buying's always a good choice. But if you're going to use it a handful of times, I don't know that that's the smartest thing to do. But I think she maybe just needs to decide how often she'll use it and for how long.
I was going to say, DVC rental store makes the process of renting out your points super easy, Trevor. So,
or renting points,
not to be a shill for the sponsor,
Right.
No, but I mean, truthfully, when I rented out my own points, it was very easy to do. It was not that much of a hassle. Like it did not take me long to do, and it's very simple and straightforward. So. Honestly, that's not even me trying to sell you on the sponsor. That's me telling you that was my experience. So.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So Trevor, you want to read the next one?
Yeah. So Chanda says, I have a family of 6. And I'm wondering if renting DVC points to book a villa or suite would make more financial sense than reserving 2 standard rooms to accommodate our group.
I know you're the resale market person, but this is a rental question. But you know about the rental stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I think if I'm understanding the question correctly, is she referring to renting DVC points as opposed to paying cash for 2 regular rooms?
Yeah. Kind of seems that way. Yeah, so maybe getting like a 2-bedroom or something like that for the family of 6 instead of getting 2 standard rooms.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would do that. I mean, the 2 bedrooms are. I mean, unless you don't like your family that much and don't want to be in that closer quarters, which, I can't say that hasn't happened with me sometimes. But I don't know what the family dynamic is, but of course, to me, a 2-bedroom is a lot more space with a lot more accommodations than 2 standard hotel rooms. I mean, you've got, the full kitchen and big bathrooms and a living room and a washer and dryer. And even if you don't use all those things, it's nice to just have that space to spread out. So I would definitely say I would pick a villa over renting 2 hotel rooms. Definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Just the like you said, the actual benefit of the DVC room first of all, depending on where you stay, you're if you stay like Animal Kingdom 2-bedroom, you get an extra bathroom, right? So like that's awesome, right? Or and then you get the full kitchen, right? Like you can't. It's really nice to have that full kitchen and have that extra space where everybody can congregate, where as opposed if you do 2 different rooms, like you're all, if you all want to hang out, you got to, go into one room. So,
yes, tripping over each other. Yep. Yeah.
I've actually said on the show, so we started doing 2 bedrooms recently when we go with family, and it's once you go to a 2-bedroom, it's kind of hard to go back.
Very, yes.
Because it's so nice, the space is so nice, and the the rooms are so nice. It's tough. So I'm a big advocate for 2 bedrooms. So
same, yeah, I agree.
Trevor, you want me to read this one, or you want to?
Yeah, go for it.
So Tara says, "What do you think that?" I know this is going to be a tough question, Jodi. What do you think is the perfect amount of points to own for a family of 5 who likes to go once or twice a year while keeping an average modest budget in mind? I want to say this, like my initial response to this question is, it depends on how cozy you are with your family, right?
That too, yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could theoretically stay. I mean, there are some studios you could stay in, right? Like, but if do you really want to fit 5 people in there? Not really,
right? Yeah. So there's a lot of questions I'd ask. I mean, I don't know if she's referring to 3 small children, which or are we talking about 3 teenage boys and a mom and dad?
Yeah, that's a big difference.
But she mentioned a modest budget, so that would tell me a studio, probably. I mean, if you're looking at just dollars, right? A studio is going to be much more cost effective. But of course, we don't know which resorts. There's a limited amount of resorts that sleep 5, but. So you've got that, and I don't know how many nights they stay and, what time of year, but I'd say, assuming you're going for at least 5 days, twice a year, if you kind of pick maybe an average, I'd say somewhere at least 160, but maybe around 200 points would probably be what you can always start lower and add on later. You can't buy a 200-point contract and get rid of 40 points, but you can buy 160 and add 40 or 50 points. So, But I'd say just reach out to me or anybody else at the resale market and give us more specific details. And then we could kind of hone in on a better idea, knowing the time of year and how many nights and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say 200 probably is like a good place to go, right? Like, like that feels like it makes more sense to me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, because go ahead, sorry, Trevor.
Yeah, I was going to say, just thinking about like, back to the point of studios versus getting like a one bedroom. I think the hard part there too is, like you said, the places that offer studios that sleep 5 are generally higher point resorts, right? So is it necessarily better to stay at a resort that, like you're staying in a studio, but it costs more points? Or would you stay at a different resort where it, or where you can get a one bedroom, but it's less points or it's like it's the same amount of points, right? But
like a one bedroom at Old Key West versus a studio at Poly. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Wish I would have thought of it.
It's worth noting there's 6 DVC resorts that allow you to put 5 in a studio: Beach Club, Boulder Ridge, Boardwalk, Polynesian, Grand Floridian, and Riviera. So so that's worth noting. For me it's like, if I had 5 is tough, right? Because like even with a one bedroom, they still only, sleep 5, right? So it's like, and you're not getting that much more with a one bedroom. So I don't know.
I feel you are, because they have the kitchen.
The kitchen,
which I think that little bit of extra space, like it's not extra sleeping accommodations, but I think extra space in the room, especially with 5 people, I don't know, personally, I feel like that is a little bit of extra value, just because people can spread out and you don't feel like you're stepping over each other in a studio. Because we have done 5 people in a studio before, and it kind of feels like you don't really have room for people to spread out necessarily, where somebody can be in the kitchen. I don't know.
We've done 5 in a studio before too, and it's rough. The extra space does help you. It's just you don't have extra bedroom space really. Like you have a door at least, so there's somewhat privacy, but it's like I feel like it's, I don't know. I'd almost rather go to a 2 bedroom at that point, but then it feels like overkill, right? So it's like, I don't know. 5 is a tough spot
with the second part of this though is, talking an average to modest budget.
True.
That kind of breaks that if you go to a 2 bedroom.
And listen, if you have young kids, like if they're all kids under, 10 years old, you could probably pull off a studio with 5 people, right? Like that's not the end of the world. But I mean, it's not also not fun too. Cause we took my daughter when she was really young and we did a studio, but she went to bed at 7:30. So it was like, well, what do we do?
Small kids need more space than you think.
Well, it's true, because it would have been nice to have a one bedroom at that point. So we could have, put her in the bedroom and we could have still, watched TV or talked or whatever. Yeah. Instead, we all just basically had to go to bed at 7:30. So
you're probably tired after spending the day at Disney. So maybe it worked out. Yeah,
that's true. I was tired. So you want to do Daniel's question here? Okay.
Yeah. So Daniel says, just bought a resale contract. Seller was an LLC. When I was offering the price per point, it felt like my offer wasn't being presented to anyone, just the manager at DVC Resale Market, in brackets, akin to a car dealership. I heard they have price guarantees to the seller. Is this true?
Well, that's I guess 2 separate questions there. So to answer the first part, we do present all offers, definitely, unless, and this is a very tiny amount. So it's, I'll mention it just because it was asked, but it's a minute amount. There are some folks who have multiple contracts with us. They know what they're doing. They know what they want. They know what they need. And we'll have notes saying, okay, to accept anything over this. For example, so we know what we can counter at and all of that. They don't want to be bothered, and that kind of thing. So there are some like that, and that might have been the case here. Also, full disclosure, we do own some of these resorts, right? Or some of these contracts, because we do have that guaranteed buyback. So DVC Resale Market will buy a contract back from somebody. We offer this guarantee for our sellers that if they don't sell their contract, within 30 days, but really they could take advantage of it anytime. So there's always a standing offer for every seller, and it's a number that we'll buy it back at. Most of the time the sellers don't take us up on it because it's a little bit lower than, what they could probably get if they sell it just, on the market, but it's a nice cushion that we have for them. So, but so when we buy them back, we hold them and we have to resell them. So yes, sometimes the DVC resale market will own a few of the contracts, but it's not the majority of them. And then we'll know, and I'm only mentioning that because he mentioned that they spoke to a manager, and perhaps that's who we were negotiating with, right? Is the our manager here who is in charge of listing those contracts that we've acquired through the guaranteed sale or buyback.
Okay.
But it's a very small amount. But yeah, we do present all offers unless otherwise noted, like the example I gave where they say, or some sellers will even say no offers below X amount. So yeah, but they're all presented. I know that I've seen on some of the different forums and stuff, people speculating that, we don't present offers, or they, maybe they thought that their offer was too low and so it wasn't presented, but I can tell you we do. I just think sometimes the sellers get back quickly with a no or a counter, and maybe the buyer feels like, well, that came back too quick or whatever. And they're, it couldn't have been presented, but it, probably for a seller, it's an easy answer if maybe the offer is just way too low, or if it's a great offer, they're going to come back. Yeah, great, right away. Some sellers we reach in 5 minutes, some take 24 hours. So it just kind of depends, but we do present all offers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess I didn't know that you guys had that seller guarantee. I don't know why I didn't know that, but maybe because I've never sold a contract. I've only bought contracts. So.
Right. Yeah. It's a good thing to have. It's a good,
yeah, for sure.
It's like I said, it is less than what they can get on the open market. Right. And I tell most of my sellers, cause they'll ask about it. I'll say, it's good to know that you have it in case something happens. If the market, the bottom of the market fell out, then you've got this guarantee. But you can sell it for, say market values 150 a point, and we'll buy it back at 120 a point. We'll list it at 130. You're still $10 more per point than what we'd buy it back for, if you're in a hurry to sell. So I usually, I try and get my sellers, as much as I can for them without them having to take advantage of that instant sale or the guaranteed sale. But it is a great option for these sellers. And, I know that that's also it's been an issue in the recent past, because some offers have come in so low, and it's under our instant sale. And so we've tried to explain, from time to time to buyers, our company would guarantee we'd buy it back for more than what this offer is. So, obviously if the seller's not going to take an offer that's higher, that's standing on the table there, they're likely not going to take yours. We still present it, but try and set them up to let them understand that we'd buy it back for more. So you're definitely going to have to come up if that's the particular contract that you want. So it's a nice cushion for sellers.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a long answer. Sorry.
No, that was great. That was
great.
You
kind of answered Jeremy's question at the same time there, because he was actually Jeremy was basically asking that is, do you present all offers, or is there like a low, a low bar
sorted.
that which obviously not, because you are still presenting them those offers, but like you said, if it's below what your guaranteed is, obviously. I don't see why anyone would take the lower offer.
No,
right. That makes zero sense, right?
Kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, and it's hard because there's a lot of information out there, and there's a particular reseller that's known to have like fire sale prices, and we don't. we don't undersell contracts for our sellers, right? We try and be fair to both buyers and sellers. And just for the record too, we don't work for the sellers and only. We're transaction brokers, and we try and just make it happen. And we're trying to be fair to both buyers and sellers. When I have a low offer that's below our instant sale price, I'll still present it to the seller. They're going to know that it's below instant sale. I'll ask them if they want to counter. And, I acknowledge, it's a lower offer. It's under our instant sale price. But at the same time, I'll be the first person to tell a buyer, this contract's overpriced. The seller's counter is not, in my opinion, reasonable. There's others to look at. So, we do look out for both parties. I'll give you my honest opinion if you ask. I don't want to see anybody get taken advantage of. If there's a better deal to be had, I'll be the first one to tell them that. We do have those contracts that are the smaller contracts that are full price only. Those we don't present because the seller has stated they do not want us to present offers. They listed it as full price only. So those we don't, if that answers that question. If it says it, but it will have to say that on our listing description. It'll say, sellers only accepting a full price offer, which is the case with small contracts and those red hot deals. Again, we lowered the price 10% less, at least than what our estimator said, but it was full price only, non-negotiable. So unless it says it, then we present it, and there should be, sellers should be set up to know that they have to negotiate. Got
it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Millie wants to know if you've heard anything about the Fort Wilderness Cabins.
Nothing new. They look cute.
They do.
I'd like to stay in one when they open, but I haven't heard any new news. I don't know if you guys have, but
we haven't. No.
Yeah, not a lot of gossip going on yet.
Yeah, so, I think Millie was hoping maybe you had some old connections.
Inside scoop.
That you had some inside scoop there.
I have. Funny enough, I do have a lot of connections there, and I just have failed to ask about that one. We usually get caught up with other, maybe bigger gossipy items, but
gotcha.
But that one hasn't come up, so I'll see what I can find out next time I'm around my group.
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm excited about those. I actually might think about doing one of them because I don't know. I'm not a big camping person, but I would rock a cabin. I do a cabin.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, camping, to me, you still have to have air conditioning and plumbing, for sure. Yeah. I'm not sleeping in a tent. Not, especially in Florida. My goodness, it's so hot here. Yeah.
Trevor, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I feel like, talking about gossip and stuff, I feel like the Disneyland Tower has probably been more of a focus for things to talk about lately than, like this is still too far out, right?
Well, yes. They haven't built anything yet, right? So,
exactly. Yeah, you're right. That was a big focus, and of course the speculation on Poly, is it going to be part of the existing association and all that. So there's been a lot to talk about, and oddly enough, Fort Wilderness just hasn't bubbled up to the top just yet. But I'll see what I can find out.
All right. I like that. So Miranda.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Trevor.
Sorry, what? I just want to circle back on the Poly thing real quick.
No, go ahead. Talk about Poly.
So I'm in the camp that I actually want to see it kind of how Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek got split for Wilderness Lodge.
So you feel like have its own association? Is what you're
I do actually, because I own at the Poly. I actually don't. I feel it would be better if they weren't all one big thing, if that, or one big
same
resort.
Association.
Okay. Yeah, association. Thank you. And what's your opinion on that? Do you feel it would make more sense if they rolled it together or if they kept them separate?
So if I look at the historical picture of what Disney's done with adding on it at a particular resort, they've all, with the exception of Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek, have kept it the same association. Animal Kingdom, they put them together. When they added the tree houses to Saratoga Springs, Grand Floridian, they did it. And I think the only reason why they didn't do it with Boulder Ridge and Copper Creek is because the time frame, it was just too spaced out. They're not going to build a new resort and have it have a 2042 expiration or sell a new resort, right? Mm-hmm. Poly's a newer DVC resort, so it would make sense to me that they would keep it the existing association, just following their old pattern. Now, we can all probably agree that Disney's made some crazy decisions of lately, and we, who knows what's going on with some of the decisions that they've made. So they could, I guess what I really want to say is, are they going to double down on what I think is a very bad decision with their resale restrictions? And because they know it wasn't a good idea. It wasn't an effective way to sell the vacation club. It kind of backfired on them, and they know that. So, but they can't go back and say, okay, we changed our mind. Riviera, everybody can stay there, because then they're opening themselves up to a lot of problems for the people who had to sell at a loss or whatever. So what are their options? Just to leave Riviera and Disneyland Hotel as these two oddballs, or double down on their not so great decision and put Polly in there with it along with others. So I hope it's not that. I think it being part of the same association would help more members. I don't think people want more restrictions. I understand where you're coming from. Maybe if they made it a different association without restrictions, that would be probably a win-win. But I just don't think people want to see restrictions anymore. It just hurts the value when they go to sell, if they have to sell. You don't buy it with the idea that you're going to sell, but it's given everybody who buys DVC peace of mind that they're not like every other timeshare where you got to pay someone to take it off your hands. So I'm not a fan of the restrictions, and I don't think they were a good idea. And I hope that they don't do that with Polly. That's my 2 cents.
Trevor, wouldn't it being in the same association help you though? Because you could buy more DVC resale and you only stay at Polly. So, but that would be helpful for you, right?
Well, I guess my concern there is that if they do roll it in, that, like I said, I'm in the market for a contract right now, and my concern would be that if they announced that it was all part of the same association, that the price per point on Polly goes way higher, which for me as a buyer doesn't help.
You think it goes? I feel like it would go lower because there's more inventory, right? Like,
I was gonna. If they do what they did with Grand Floridian, and they had those crazy incentives that they had for Grand Floridian, if you guys, just to refresh your memory, when they had it dropped like 20+% the value. So people were scooping up the.
It was almost the same price with the incentives as resale. Like we talked about it on the show. It was only a couple dollars off. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might be able to pick up one for, depending on what Disney's incentives and pricing will be, you might be able to get a Polly much cheaper.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. I guess I wasn't looking at it that way. My concern was like the Riviera wasn't, or sorry, not Riviera. Grand Floridian was not them building like a net new space. It was taking existing space and transforming it, right?
True. Mm-hmm.
So I guess like I said, my worry was that and actually I was kind of looking at it from, like you were talking about, the restrictions and stuff. I was worried that it was going to be like, hey, this is part of the association now, but it's got additional hoops and like, how Riviera is. And it's like, I don't want to deal with that. Like if I'm going to sell or whatever, that it's like I guess I just wonder if they would like, if I bought in new points now, would they suddenly, like, would those points suddenly have a bunch of restrictions on them because of how they've been doing the associations lately? Right. Like that's kind of my concern with it.
You'd have to find out, obviously, before you buy it. But they'll announce that prior to their sales, of course. But I think it's going to be part of the same. But just again, going off historical, what they've done in the past. But again, there's been a lot of new changes and a lot of crazy things going on with Disney. So who knows? I'm going to say it's 50-50 and make it
50-50 shot.
Easy for me.
All right.
So no one can yell at me later.
So the last thing we have on here is from Miranda. And this isn't really a question, but I'm going to turn it into one. Okay. So Miranda said, I just started listening to your podcast. I'm so happy I found it. I want to learn so much about DVC. I want to be able to join someday. I've done the tour years ago, and it's just been something I wanted to be a part of and be able to convince my husband to join. So Jodi, let's convince Miranda's husband to buy DVC. How can we convince Miranda's husband to buy DVC? And maybe we can even just talk about doing resale instead of doing direct, or and how we can save money that way, or some way. We got to convince Miranda's husband.
Well, yes, Miranda's husband. First of all, happy wife, happy life. Come on now. But we all know that. But yeah, I mean, here's the deal. And we all know this, but Miranda, it sounds like she's kind of a newer listener. So, I mean, DVC is not for everybody. So I'm not here to just sell DVC, whatever. It is not for everybody. If you live in Australia and you come to Disney once every 10 years, you're the last person who should join the membership, obviously, right? But if you're going to Disney on a regular basis, doesn't mean you have to go every year, but if you're going at least every other year, could be every 3 years, but at least every other year or more, then, you're spending that money anyway. You're just not getting anything from it, right? You rent a room, money's gone. Whereas if you buy into the resale market or buy into DVCs, whether it's resale or direct, at least you're owning something, and once that's paid off, it's like a house. Once your house is paid off, you're living in it for free, with the exception of the upkeep, which is your annual dues, kind of to use a comparison.
Jodi, I've never thought about it that way, but it's a good way to think about it.
Yeah. Or I use a car as an example too. Like once your car's paid off, you still got to put gas in it and insure it, but the cost is so minimal. Whereas if you're always just leasing a car, you're never done. Right. So, but a house is probably a better example because no one owns a car for more than 10 years nowadays, but a house you have for a long time, DVC you have for a long time. And again, as we talked about earlier in the show, you can always sell it if, you change your mind and say, hey, this isn't for me, or, we're going to go move to the Himalayas. We're never coming again, sell it and you'll probably make money on it if it's, within a few years. So it actually makes financial sense if you're going on a somewhat regular basis. I mean, obviously, the more you go to Disney, the more it makes sense. So I just don't know what their situation is and how often they go. But, if they're going on a regular basis, they're spending the money anyway. It's just going out the window. I mean, don't get me wrong. You're getting nice trips and making memories, but that money's not going towards anything. It's gone. So.
Miranda, I would say though, too, if you are, I think the best convincer is to rent some DVC points and stay at a DVC resort, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's what happened to us, right? Like we always stayed at value resorts, right? Like we always stayed value because we were like, what? We're never in the room. Well, who cares? Right. Like whatever. And then we stayed in a deluxe on our honeymoon. It wasn't a DVC, right? It was just a deluxe resort. And we were like, oh, we can't go back to All Stars after this. Like
it ruins it.
Yeah, it's completely ruined. Like you're like, I can't go back to All Stars after this. I need to do this. And the best way to stay at deluxe resorts is DVC. So I would say, Miranda, next time you go, rent DVC points and stay at a DVC villa. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it is, go to DVC rental store, rent some DVC points at a resort you want to try out. And that's a great way to try it out and also save money too. It's not even like you're going to be staying at a deluxe resort at a much lower rate. So
at a moderate or a value price. Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a great way to try it out at least. And I will tell you too, Miranda, like I've bought 2 contracts from DVC Resale Market. It is scary easy how easy it is to spend that a large amount of money with DVC Resale. It's like so easy.
Yes.
It's like it's shockingly easy. I mean that in the best way, right?
No, I know. It's just funny.
Like the process is so easy though. Like you guys send everything through like DocuSign and like you just it's so easy to do. It's like so simple and straightforward and like you give all the instructions, you make it as easy as possible. Like so. But I mean, if you're looking to buy direct too, though, Miranda, like, that's something you can do too. Like personally, for me, I love that I've gone the route of buying a direct contract and then buying my additional contracts through DVC resale because now I get the benefits of direct and I also get, the much cheaper contracts through resale. But like, there's a lot that you can do to try DVC before you buy. Like it's one of those rare things that you can try before you buy, right? Like
and she could also go, I mean, I don't know how we don't know her background, right? But the other thing to do is go to the different resorts, make dinner reservations or go for a drink or coffee or ice cream, just go check out the different resorts while you're there too and see what you compare what which ones you like best and all that good stuff. But that's a good idea too, is to rent points. And again, I always tell people, if they think they want to do it, but they're nervous, or maybe their spouse is nervous, just start small. I mean, don't start so small that it's not going to get you anything, but buy a small contract and you can always add on later, too. That's
absolutely,
yeah.
That's how we started. We started with what we could afford at the time, and then we just kept kind of adding on, right? Sorry, Trevor, go ahead.
I was just going to say, kind of like what you're saying, Jodi, is so we initially stayed at the Grand Californian, and like you, Tom, we were like, once we stayed there, we were like, we can't go back to value resorts. And but then we, to your point about trying resorts, when we bought our first contract, it was direct, and it was, again, just a matter of timing, and our guide was like, here, let's try the Poly. It sounds like that would work for you. And we didn't know that we were going to like the Poly when we initially bought our contract. But then when we stayed at the Poly, we just instantly fell in love with it. And then we were like, this is, we made the right choice. This is where we're staying. To your point, Jodi, I feel like, somebody like Miranda, if they're, or she's looking around, like you said, go have dinner at some of these resorts, and you may find that, one just clicks with you the right way. And that's where you buy your points. So, yeah.
I had never checked out Riviera until Trevor and I were actually together down at Disney World. And we were on the Skyliner, and we were like, let's just hop off at Riviera and walk around. Right. And so we did that. And I was like, ooh, I kind of want to stay at Riviera. This is nice. Like, this feels very fancy. Like, I kind of need to stay here now. I mean, I'm already on a mission to stay at every DVC resort at some point, and I'm only like Riviera and Beach Club away. But, to your point, do reservations or just wander around to these different resorts too. Like, I mean, that's what Trevor and I did. We were just on the Skyliner, and we're like, hey, we're stopped here anyway. Why don't we just hop off? So, so I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
So, Jodi, that's all of our questions for you. Is there anything else you want to mention? And, of course, let us know how people can get a hold of you, where they can, ask you questions or reach out.
Sure. I mean, you could reach out to myself or anybody at the DVC Resale Market on our websites, dvcresalemarket.com.
/ Welcome Home Podcast.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I had to.
Go for it. Hey, it's your podcast.
That's right.
You get to do whatever you want. I'm just here for the ride. And, we have our bio on there. I mean, I don't need to rattle off email addresses and phone numbers, but I don't think. But, just go to dvcresalemarket.com. My name's Jodi, but anybody on our team, we're all great to work with, and be happy to answer any questions, especially the folks that were nice enough to send in questions for me to answer. If they want to follow up with me on those, feel free to reach out. I'm Jodi at dvcresalemarket.com. I guess I'll go ahead and say that. It's easy enough. But yeah, no, thank you for having me. I feel like I rattled on longer than I should have, but thanks.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. It was great to have you again, Jodi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.
So thanks to Jodi. It was good to have Jodi on again. We haven't done a DVC oriented show in a little while. So
it was fun. I feel I know we kind of threw a couple of interesting questions, but no, that was fun. I felt I hope that everybody who put in questions got an answer that they wanted out of it.
I feel like every time we have somebody from World of DVC on the show that like I learned something new about DVC or about resale market. Like I feel like I'm always learning new things. So which totally. Is like it's a good thing, I guess. I mean, we talk about this all the time that we're not the DVC expert show, right? Like that's not us. Like there's other shows out there where you can go to get the minutia of DVC, right? Like go do that. That's fine. We're regular people that own DVC that know how to use DVC and know, I would say most of DVC, right? Like there's just like little tiny rules and things like that we probably don't know. And that's fine. We're cool with that. Like that's just not our show.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I don't want to dive down into the depths of DVC. I want to know how to practically use a DVC. And I think that's I think it's good.
Yeah, I think most people just need the basics, right? Like, you don't need to know like all the crazy rules and stuff. So, but why don't we go ahead and do our very appropriate ad for DVC Resale Market?
All right.
As if the last hour was not an ad for DVC Resale Market, but we'll do our ad anyway.
Yeah, it's fine. So we have DVC Resale Market, which is a part of the World of DVC company, and they're the leader in the DVC resale industry with 13 former Disney Vacation Club guides and 3 former Disney Vacation Club quality assurance managers. If you're thinking of buying DVC, browse the largest selection of DVC resale listings anywhere with DVC experts on hand, like Jodi, 7 days a week to answer your questions. If you're thinking of selling, turn to the friendly professionals at DVC Resale Market, where over 90% of listings sell within 30 days. In 2022, DVC Resale Market helped over 4,400 families join or add on to their memberships. Go to dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home or call 1-844-DVC-PROS. That's 382-7767. Sorry, is that?
Yeah, 382-7767.
I had a moment. I couldn't read that correctly. There was too many sevens. But when you do speak to them, be sure to let them know that Welcome Home sent you.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about 7 days a week. Jodi's here on the weekend talking to us, so you know they're in all the time. You can contact them anytime you want, and they'll answer. So
yeah, I know when I bought my contract through them, they were very responsive, and obviously different times of day because some of us have jobs and we can't be, buying DVC contracts in the middle of the day. So yeah, they are very accommodating for that.
I just want to say, like, I hope nobody like listens to the show and thinks that they're just like shills for like DVC Resale Market. Like, legitimately, Nick was one of the first people on the show. Like, yeah. I almost feel, I don't want to say we owe them a lot, but we do in a lot of ways, right? And we worked with them, we bought contracts from them. They have been amazing to us, right? So like, for us, we have this partnership with them, and honestly, I don't think we would have them as our sponsor if we didn't think that they were the best ones out there and doing the best, DVC resale and rental store business. So like, we're not going to send you guys to a place that is shady or not doing the right thing, right? So like,
yeah, I mean, a little bit behind the scenes, we've had other people in the past approach us, like not other like DVC sales places, but we've had, people approach us with like, hey, check out this thing and, we can sponsor you and all that kind of stuff. And because we didn't know what it was, or we didn't like you said, we didn't trust it because we didn't experience it ourselves. We were like, nah, we'll pass. So
sell this Disney themed blender. Remember that?
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Is I'm not going to go and sell a blender that I know nothing about. Just because somebody told me it's cool. So
yeah, that was a funny one. Listen, I presented it to you guys. We decided against it. But
so yeah, just a little behind the scenes for everybody. Yeah, we aren't saying this stuff because we're being transparent. They are our sponsor, but the reason they are our sponsor is because we genuinely like the product that they put out. So
yeah, and they're just
take that for what it is.
Yeah, they're just good people over there. They've been really good to us and really kind to us. And listen, a lot of our listeners have gotten to know, like Derek and a lot of the other people that work there. Like, I mean, there's a whole community formed around this whole thing. So it's I just don't. I always feel weird like when we're talking about it a lot because I'm just like, are we sellouts, Trevor? But I'm like, I don't think we are.
No.
Like, I don't think we are. I think it's just something we believe in and we talk about it. So
like we said earlier, I enjoy the fact that they will come and talk to us on the show and we get lots of insight into the market that we don't necessarily just us looking at it ourselves, we would never know. So.
Yeah, because you're talking about, I mean, like every person basically that works at DVC Resale Market was a DVC guide at some point. So like they know the product, they know the inner workings, they know all of it, right? So like you get so much experience there that it's and we just get such an inside view that it's really I always love having them on. And plus they're just fun.
Totally.
We always like when anybody can come on the show and have a good time and like get our vibe and, like that's always cool. And Jodi's one of those people that just gets it, So,
yeah.
So anyway, you want to talk about some food?
Yeah, let's
talk about food.
I know. I know.
Wait a second. Wait, what did that mean? What does that
because
mean?
you always find like I would never
Random
look
food.
for this link. Like I know you love looking up the food, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not like right. I get it, and I enjoy talking about it too, but I would never know what's going on at the Contempo Cafe. Yeah.
Which, for those that don't know, is in the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Listen, okay. Do you want to go more behind the scenes on how I find the things for us to talk about on the show?
I mean, that's up to you.
I mean, if Disney posted in the Parks blog, then I review the Parks blog, and this is one of the things they put in the Parks blog. So, yeah. And listen, I like to talk about food. So, especially when I look at this mini cinnamon roll, I don't think I've ever seen a cinnamon roll dipped in chocolate. And part of me is like, I don't know if that would be good or not. But part of me is also like, I love cinnamon rolls and I like chocolate, and this looks like a delicious cinnamon roll. So I don't know.
I mean, I've had various. There's actually a place in Calgary where I live that actually does like crazy cinnamon rolls. So okay. I've had cinnamon rolls with all like they do like a shortcake cinnamon roll and stuff like that. So cinnamon rolls are actually a very good delivery mechanism for just like all kinds of stuff, I find. And yeah, so chocolate on a cinnamon roll, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. And the fact that it's mini themed,
exactly.
This is, me, I'm always talking about, visually, making it look Disney, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's, because there's lots of times where they're like, hey, here's this thing, but it's just a cupcake, but we put like a little, like, a little, not even like anything fancy. It's like a printed wafer on it or something, right? Like,
yeah,
this looks like there was some effort put into it. That they dipped it. They've got the mini dots and all that.
The fact that you said printed wafer, there's one. Literally, the next picture is of something with a printed wafer on it.
Yeah, I did just see that with the goat.
Well, and also first of all, there's a spicy chicken sandwich here that looks delicious, right? Like a pepper jack, chipotle, arugula, seasoned tomato, dill pickles. Okay, that sounds delicious, right? I'm not even going to talk about this tofu dish because ew.
Hold up.
No.
What's wrong with the tofu dish?
I don't do that. Tofu's gross.
No, it's not. Tofu's good.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm making all the vegetarians out there mad at me now. It's fine.
Well, I'm not a vegetarian, but I still like tofu. It's
all right. Well,
I guess I eat enough. The thing about tofu is it's kind of a blank slate, so you can do a lot of different things with it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Well, I'm more looking at the monorail s'more brownie, which is a brown. First of all,
very good.
I love a s'more brownie, and the fact that it has a solid white chocolate monorail car on the top of it. This is perfection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want that. It's a fudgy brownie with graham cracker crust topped with marshmallow cream and chocolate decor, which is the chocolate decor and the monorail.
Yeah, it's a nice somebody took some time to do some molded chocolate and then the white molded chocolate as well, which I'll be honest, s'mores are not my favorite thing.
Oh, see, I was just going to say I will eat anything that's s'mores. Like literally, like that the combination of marshmallow, chocolate, and graham cracker is like my favorite combination of anything.
Yeah, you see, I'll actually pass on that most of the time, but because it has the monorail on it, I would be interested in it because of that. So for me, it's the visual stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, and maybe this is just my immature brain working, right? But I feel like when I eat that white chocolate monorail, that it has to be like the monorail's going into the tunnel that is my mouth. It's like oh, monorail's going into the contemporary. It's my immature brain. And then the thing you were talking
every
about,
kid, you're right. Well, like
every child and me.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is again they're doing more 5-legged goat themed things. So again, if you don't know about the 5-legged goat, Google it. But
or go to the Contemporary where
or just
all this food is that we're talking about.
Go to the Contemporary and look at the mural, the iconic Mary Blair, mural that is right in the. It's not the lobby of the Contemporary, but it's on whatever floor that is. I don't even know what you would call that area, but it's there. Yeah. Go find it. And there's a 5-legged goat there. But lately they've been like leaning into this because it's like a classic Disney thing. It's like almost like a Disney fan Easter egg, Yeah,
it has its own thing around it. Like it's just an iconic Disney thing at this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll admit, they did try. They gave us a fruit tart, but they did exactly what I was talking about, which is, they took a was it a white chocolate wafer, and they printed the 5-legged goat on it and put it on top, and
they were just part of me is like, they were like, oh, we've got this tart, we're going to sell it at the Contempo. How should we make this contemporary themed? Throw the 5-legged goat on there. Just throw him on there.
I mean, I would have felt better if they had at least like done like a stencil or piped it onto the top or something. It just the fact that like, I know for mass production it's easier to do like the printed thing because they can do them in bulk, but I don't know, it just feels lazy to me a little.
It's fair. Yeah. I mean, especially when you have the mold of chocolate of the monorail right next to it, right? Like give me a molded 5-legged goat in 3D that I can eat.
Yes. Yeah. Even a molded 5-legged goat would be better.
Yeah. Give it to me in a white chocolate just standing on top of the tart. It's probably harder to do than a monorail, I guess. And then really that's the only things I wanted to talk about on this. The rest are just like, cookies. I mean, strawberry lemonade sugar cookie. Yeah.
You don't want to talk about the Jack Jack cookie Num Nums cupcake?
Okay. So listen. Most of the time, Disney does a lot of work on these things. This one feels... You want to talk about lazy? This one feels lazy.
Okay.
You don't think so?
Well, reading up on it.
It sounds delicious. It does.
It's a chocolate cupcake topped with chocolate chip cookie dough mousse, which I don't know how you make cookie dough into a mousse. But I'm interested though. I'm intrigued. Yeah, and so and again, they're using the same thing where they've got like the printed Incredibles logo on the top, but this feels a little more inspired because the cupcake as a whole actually looks like the cupcake has some Incredibles design to it. It's the red and the black. Yeah. Whereas but looking at the tart that could be a tart from anywhere, and they just dropped the they could literally sell the same tart anywhere else in the parks and just take off the 5-legged goat. Yeah. So I give the Incredibles cupcake a little bit more of a pass because there is some investment in it. But listen, also red food coloring is like the worst, right? Because if you get that on your shirt, it's never coming off, right? Like you'll know every kid that's had this cupcake because their shirt will have, and their face will be stained for hours. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, the only other one too, there's a churro cookie, there's a kitchen sink cookie, there's a strawberry lemonade sugar cookie, which sounds delicious. But yeah. I mean, outside of that, just a couple things. I like talking food, So So go to the Contemporary if you haven't been there in a while. And now we have Halloween food at Disneyland. At Disneyland specifically. Yeah. I should have put this in the Disneyland category, but I had a food category, I had a Disneyland category. They're two separate things. So I don't know. But whatever, who cares? All right. Well, did we talk about these already? This was newly posted, but some of these things look familiar to me. Well, so we've seen similar things to these, I think, because we talked about other Halloween food. Talked about Disney World, right? Yeah. So I'm sure. I mean, but they usually do try to differentiate, though, right? I mean, they do, and they actually have. They're like, because the last list we were looking at, I remember I was commenting on how everything was like black dye. Stuff like it was like the buns were all dyed black and everything. I'm not seeing that for the Disneyland stuff. It seems like they're going like a spicy route. Like it seems like they're doing a lot of spicy things, right? Yeah, and we found that in the last list as well. We did, but there's not as many. It seems they're not as heavy on the black dye in Disneyland. That's true. That is true.
By the way, going back to what you were talking about before, this little moose cup where they just threw a Darth Vader chocolate mold in the top. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just okay. Let's throw a Darth Vader in there. We're cool. Darth by chocolate. They've had that a lot though. That's been around for a long time. So that's not a new thing. What else we got here?
I'm looking at it's, I don't know if there's actually a picture of it or if this is the picture of it. There's a vampire alien macaroon.
Okay.
Which the green alien macaroon filled with salted caramel, buttercream, chocolate ganache, and brownie bits. But I don't know what makes that vampire.
I don't know where you are, but I don't see a picture of it. Yeah, I don't see a picture of it. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel like we need a picture of that.
Yeah, there's actually, I guess it should have been because there's those first 4 pictures, like where the Darth Vader thing is, but they've listed a bunch of things below it.
They did, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what is this thing? Is it a pumpkin churro funnel cake? Okay, but I don't like pumpkin though. If it was just churros,
is it pumpkin or pumpkin spice?
That's a fair point. Oh no, it's pumpkin ice cream on it.
Oh
no, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
not sure about that.
But here's all the spicy stuff though: red pepper cheese onion rings, red pepper cheese fries, red pepper cheese sauce. Everything at Hungry Bear is red pepper. I don't know if that's spicy or if it's just, I
mean, well, I would assume it's got some spice to it if you're advertising as red pepper.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
We have another one. We need to come up with a name for this, Trevor, of just okay, it's fine. Like now, you know what I mean? Like we need to have a name for when they just throw something on the top of a dessert.
The minimal effort.
Yeah, there. Now it's fine.
Yeah. An attempt was made.
An attempt was made. Now it's Disney themed.
Yeah. I'm trying. Which one is it that has that little? I assume you're looking at that. Is that trifle? I guess.
I guess so.
They're not exactly clear about what's what on these pictures.
No, they really aren't, are they?
There's the cream puff. Yeah, I guess that must be the pecan caramel trifle.
Okay. Yeah. What is even on that? What is the character that's on that? I can't even see it.
Yeah, it's weird.
What? Oh, I think it's Mickey as a bat, or Minnie as a bat. Maybe. I feel like I see a Minnie and or Mickey face, and there's maybe a dress there, and then there's wings. No.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is. Okay. It is Minnie.
It's Vampire Minnie. Is that what it is? Okay. All right.
That's weird. It doesn't look right.
That's weird. I just like that's weird.
That does not look right.
It's the printing is not great on that one.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Let's just scroll down and see anything that catches our attention here.
This
cake
monster
is awesome.
Cake.
Yeah.
Wow. That. I know you just buy a slice at a time, but just seeing that in a
that's a cool cake.
And this is at the Plaza Inn, which is that's kind of where no, sorry, I have it backwards. Yeah, Plaza Inn is where Plaza Inn is in Disney World, I believe. Yeah, but so walking by, if you saw that in the confectionery case, I mean, how many kids do you think would have their faces pressed up against the glass looking at that thing?
Oh, 100%. I'm also just going down here too. Again, we're going with the spicy chili dog.
Mm-hmm.
Premium hot dog topped with spicy chili, nacho cheese sauce, spicy brown mustard, spicy corn chips, and a fried serrano pepper just chilling on the top of it.
Right on top.
Just chilling on the top of it. I just feel like I would die if I ate this. I like spicy, but not super spicy, right? I don't go I don't know.
Yeah,
a little.
There's a threshold, right? If I'm not against really spicy, but if the flavor gets destroyed because of the spice, then I don't want it. I want the spice, but I also want to be able to taste my food.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to look at what other new stuff there is here. So.
The next one here, I'm trying to figure out if it's I feel like it's just the lighting that they did on it, and it's not actually green, but the potato leek soup.
Oh yeah,
in the sourdough bread bowl. it looks very cool. Like it's got like the green and the purple and everything going on, but I wonder if that's just the lighting on it. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is I'm all about this graveyard banana funnel cake.
I knew you were going to say
dude.
Because, yeah.
Now, whoa.
You want to hear something weird that I discovered? Because this thing's got candy corn on it.
Oh yeah. Not a big fan of that, but
well, yes. So Mike, we were a couple of weeks ago. We were out of town, and we had stopped by a candy store in Canmore where we were staying, and my son grabbed a bag of candy corn, and my wife and I both looked at him like, "Are you serious? Like, why would you get that?" And he's like, "I love candy corn," and we were like,
"What?"
Yeah, exactly. We were like,
my wife likes candy corn too. Actually,
really?
She does.
Yeah.
My
so
wife likes candy corn. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's there's two types of people, I guess, those that like it and those that don't. But I just don't get candy corn. Like I even tried it again just to see if maybe my impression of it was wrong, and I still don't like candy corn. So the only thing about this funnel cake is that the candy corn is ruining it. And I would flick those off.
I'm ambivalent to it. Like I'll eat it every once in a while. Like if it's around and I'm like in the mood for something sweet and it's all there is, I'll have one, right? But it's not like something I go out of my way to get. But this banana funnel cake, it's a classic funnel cake, which, by the way, this funnel cake is huge. I don't know if it's just the picture, but it looks huge.
It looks big, yeah.
Yeah, topped with banana cream, chocolate cookie dust, Halloween candy, whipped topping, and sprinkles. Dude, I want this. Like, I want to fly to Disneyland right now just to get this. Like,
totally. Well, yeah, you should go to Disneyland.
Yeah. I know. I need to go. What else we got here?
Okay,
What
I got another one here. So this is in Tomorrowland, and it's kind of interesting that it's in Tomorrowland, but I get it because it's it's close enough to Fantasyland. The Royal Raspberry Delight, which is a Red Queen themed dessert, which I have not seen a lot of, like especially Alice in Wonderland stuff. And further to that, the Red Queen, it's a chocolate tart shell filled with chocolate mousse and ganache, topped with a red and black raspberry mousse glazed dome, which just looks awesome. Like I love that.
Does.
And like my wife would be like, she would be in line for this because she loves Alice in Wonderland and all that. Like that's very cool.
See, I thought you were going to go with this blood orange slush that looks like blood running down the side of it, which is kind of cool, but it's also basic. But it also very Halloween themed. Yeah,
I would probably grab one of those on the way by, but like I think my wife would be lining up for this raspberry delight.
That's fair. No, it looks very cool. I know you're tired of themed churros, but Trick or Treat sweet churros rolled in shortbread sugar, drizzled with caramel, chocolate sauce, and topped with Twix.
Twix. That's that's different.
I would eat the heck out of this. Dude, that looks so good. It looks like a giant Twix bar. Looks so good.
It's like Twix Inception.
It is. This is the second episode of the row. You're mentioning Inception.
I know. Well, it is. I mean, they're playing with Inception here, right?
They are. Yeah.
Twix on dual Twix bar churros. I don't know.
Oh man, okay.
They're having fun with it.
They are. There's an orange creams one too, which also sounds good to me. See, I like a variety of churros. I like specialized churros. Give me all the specialized churros you got.
Yeah, my only thing is that I want to try everything, and if I filled up on churros, then I don't have room for anything else.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I remember these ghost pepper nachos from last year. I'm a little bit further down. I remember having this. I remember talking about that last year because that is a returning one. They do have an Ursula shake this year. Which,
this in California Adventure that you're
the Ursula shake. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out which one it is though.
Oh, and okay, I just went further down, and there's all Cozy Cone Motel is doubling down on the candy corn stuff too.
I just skipped through most of that stuff because it's just like I'm good, we're cool. I'm looking for the new stuff because we talked about if it's not new, we talked about it last year, right?
It's true.
So, so I want to know what new stuff they got going on. Which there's a fair amount. I need to know what's on top of this hamburger at Smoke Jumpers. Yeah.
So I'm betting this is the ghostly double burger you're looking at.
Yes.
So double beef and soy chorizo burger with provolone, ghost pepper, black bean spread, avocado crema, cabbage, pico de gallo, served with crinkle cut fries.
But It doesn't say what the thing on the top is, though. What the heck is that?
Yeah.
It looks like a fried locust. Like, what is that?
I wonder if is that the chorizo? Maybe that's the chorizo.
No, it says a chorizo burger, though.
Oh, yeah. I guess, it would be on the... Yeah, I don't know.
What in the world is that?
Or is that like a fried ghost pepper, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. All I know is there's not a single thing on that I would eat. Except for the provolone. I would eat some provolone. The rest of it, get out of here. I don't do avocado, none of that. Get it all out of here.
That's too bad. I bet that would be good.
You think that'd be good?
Yeah, I would try that.
Yeah. Wait, they have a barbecue chipotle turkey leg they're doing? I know, I just skipped really far down. I feel like I've never seen them do a different, I feel like it's always just the standard turkey leg.
Maybe they're branching out into different flavors of turkey leg now.
I mean, let's make it messier. Sure, why not?
Is Chipotle usually messy? Because I mean, the turkey leg's already barbecued as it is.
Yeah, but it looks like it has a sauce on it, though. It looks like it has, right? It looks like you come away from that with extraordinarily sticky fingers and a face covered with sauce. That's what I'm guessing, right?
I mean, we previously talked about, the kids eating the cupcakes, coming away with the, red icing. What's the difference?
It's fair.
Yeah.
All right. I there's way too much left on this, and I think we need to end this conversation.
Yeah. They're actually, because it goes all the way into downtown Disney stuff as well, which that's a whole other. Yeah. Let's end it with popcorn bucket talk. Okay. So if you scroll all the way down here, they have the Donald candy corn one, which they've had before, but then it's the sipper. It's not
the sipper. Yeah. But then they have, I think this is a popcorn bucket where it's Minnie, as one of the characters from, what is it? From, what's that movie called? Hocus Pocus.
Oh, as, Winnie.
What's that character? Yes.
Winnie, yeah.
Yeah, this is a sipper.
Minnie as Winnie.
Too. This is, Minnie as Minnie. This is a sipper, though, too, but it lights up. But I have to say, again, extraordinarily cool. This is like a showpiece, kind of. I mean, really detailed. They are getting crazy with these sippers and popcorn buckets, man. So detailed.
Yeah, like we talked about last time when because we talked about the Nightmare Before Christmas popcorn holder. Is
popcorn holder.
Yeah. It's not a popcorn bucket. It's
a popcorn holder.
Yeah. Like you said, it's great that they're getting more and more detailed, but when does it transition from being like a sipper or something into something that's too complicated that one, you don't want to put a drink or put your popcorn in it, and two, it's where is that line when it's too fancy, right? I'm not against it, but I'm also
not for it.
it hits a point where I think about when I'm in the park and it's for certain things it's I would go back and get that and take it back to my room. But if this was a lot of these things are meant to be, you take it around the park with you, and it's if this is something like this mini sipper. If it's too fancy, I don't want to worry about, does it accidentally get left on a ride? You spend enough money on it that you don't want to wreck it.
Well, and meanwhile, do you want to put a sticky liquid in it at all? Right. I don't probably. Right. I don't.
Because unless you're staying somewhere that has, a kitchen or a kitchenette, it's not even not all hotel rooms you can necessarily easily clean something like this out if it is getting all sticky, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Even so if you remember when you and I were together at the meetup, I bought this Skyliner popcorn bucket, right? And that one's cool, but it's not like these ones that we've seen recently, right? The ones we've seen recently are like crazy detailed. The Skyliner one is a functional popcorn bucket. Like it's pretty big. You can fit a lot of popcorn in it. Like, so I didn't really care about getting that one dirty, right? But like some of these ones that are, the $28 and they're like really nice looking and they'd probably be impossible to clean. I don't know. I'd probably not put popcorn in them or drinks in them. I don't know. Just me.
Yeah. Yeah. We got, a couple of years ago, we got some, for the 50th, we got some Mickey Mouse sippers. And when we got them, we actually we got the drinks separate from the sippers. We never actually used the sippers.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's the way.
And we just brought them home, and they've never been used, because like when you look at the inside of them, like you said, cleaning them is not going to be easy. Yeah. So yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's move on from the Disneyland food. Let's talk about 2 meet and greets that are coming up. So we talked a while ago that an Encanto meet and greet was coming with Mirabel, which my daughter will personally be extraordinarily happy about. And that we now have an opening date for that, which is September 15th. So that's exciting. And that's taking over the former location of the Merida meet and greet over right by Cosmic Rays over there.
Yeah, it's kind of in between, or like the walkway from between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland going towards the castle. Yeah.
Exactly. I anticipate very long lines for this. Even Merida had a long line, and I feel, no offense to Merida, but Encanto's bigger, way bigger, and I just think it's going to be a huge meet and greet. So
Mirabel's more relevant right now.
100%. Yeah. But also they announced that Bruno will be showing up in the Disney Adventures Friends Cavalcade. So that's kind of cool too. So they're going to have a Bruno character, which is neat. It would be cool if they did more of the characters too. But I listen, we got Mirabel, we got Bruno. I get it.
Actually, yeah, that you're right. That would be neat if they had, more of the characters from Encanto as part of the cavalcade, right? Like,
yeah, like I feel like Luisa would be a really cool character to have, right?
Oh, totally.
Like, yeah. Like that. Yeah. That's the character I want to see is Luisa. No offense to Mirabel or Bruno, but like I feel like Luisa could be a lot of fun, right?
I think all of them could, because they all have such very unique personalities, right? Like there's and something like a cavalcade, it's something for everybody. Right.
Although the one kid you couldn't really do because he's a shapeshifter, right? So like, how are you going to represent that, right? So,
he has his
regular form, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do we know that's his regular form, Trevor?
Oh, don't go down this rabbit hole.
Don't go down this rabbit hole.
There's a whole weird fan theory about that he wasn't.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I have not read this. I was just kidding.
there was that once the magic went away, that like his ability started freaking out, and then you don't see him for a little bit.
Oh,
and it's like, yeah, they're again, these are weird like fan theory things that maybe he's not, or because it's Camilo.
Yeah, Camilo. Do you think they named him that because it's close to Chameleon and Chameleon?
Yeah, that was exactly the intent. Yeah.
I didn't know his name, so until you just said it, so I was like, okay, that makes sense why they named him that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, crazy fan theories around it. Yeah, don't go down those rabbit holes, people.
I've not dug deep into the Encanto conspiracy theory subreddit, so
it wasn't a deliberate thing. It was more like it kind of hit my news feed, and I started reading, and I was like, I shouldn't be reading this.
I think this is going to annoy Disney World fans because once again, Galaxy's Edge is getting a meet and greet that feels like it should be in both places, right?
I'm kind of jealous of this one too.
Yeah, go ahead. Did you talk about
because Ahsoka Tano is going to be meeting guests in Galaxy's Edge and Disneyland only. So just before anybody gets excited, you cannot meet her in Disney World,
which is crazy to me. Why?
Yeah, it's only Disneyland. Which Ahsoka's such a cool character, right? Like.
Yeah, and they have the full makeup and outfit and everything. Like, this is what Galaxy's Edge was supposed to be in the first place, was like these kinds of, like people walking around, right? Like,
Yeah.
But to be fair, though, listen, they did the Mando one at Disneyland first, and then it eventually ended up at Disney World. So maybe it will eventually end up there. But this also feels like they're just doing it to promote the show. So,
but why would you not promote the show in both parks, though?
I agree. Listen, I agree with you.
Right?
There's got to be a reason why, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm sure. It does kind of make sense from a business standpoint that it's probably a matter of testing it first, and like you said, maybe it's easier for them to test some of these things in California than it is to test in Florida because the scale is different, right?
But I feel like the scale's similar, though. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, especially because of the fact that Galaxy's Edge is mirrored in both parks, right?
Yeah, it's the same park. It's the same land.
Yeah, but I'm talking overall, in Disneyland, it's the size of Disneyland is not as big. So maybe from, a standpoint of casting and stuff that, maybe there's something behind the scenes that makes it easier for them to test things in Disneyland, right?
Yeah, maybe.
And also, to be fair, the general vibe in Disneyland, I don't know if you ever ran into this in Disney World, because I thought they used to do this kind of stuff where you didn't have the designated meet and greets. It was just the wandering characters.
Yeah.
In Disneyland, that happens. We ran into the Evil Queen and the Mad Hatter and stuff, just walking around. They don't have a designated place. They're just wandering the lands, right? And
COVID times they've done that a little more at Disney World, right? But it's less of walk up and take pictures with people. It's more they've had Winnie the Pooh running around Epcot trying to catch butterflies, we saw Chip and Dale at Hollywood Studios, and they were behind the fence and they were doing a picnic and a whole bit, right? But they weren't wandering. But I feel the most you see that at Disney World is the country bears, right? You'll see the country bears wandering around. But that's
I guess you're right. So it's like that, but there's more of it in Disneyland. So I guess maybe that's part of why they're kind of testing it out there, because the environment is more adapted to it, I guess is the best way to say it. They're just used to that kind of thing happening in Disneyland.
They do kind of do it at Galaxy's Edge, though, at Disney World, where they have stormtroopers wandering. They have, I think Mando wanders. I don't know if Mando stays in one place or if he wanders around too. But I thought he every time I see a video of it on the internet, it looks like he's kind of wandering and people just following him. Unfortunately, Baby Yoda is Grogu, is so popular that you just it's hard to manage that kind of crowd, right?
And that may be the same kind of thing that they're kind of feeling out with this, is that, Ahsoka is I know that the new show is coming up and that's why they're promoting this and that's why this is happening. But, for anybody that, watched, Clone Wars and stuff, Ahsoka's kind of a big character now.
Is this going to get you back on the Star Wars show bandwagon, by the way? Are you going to watch this show, Trevor? Because I know you were Star Wars out, but I know you really love this character and you loved Rebels. So
yeah, that's the thing, is that this is falling into that same line as Rebels and stuff. So I'm definitely curious about it. I don't want to say that I'm going to sit down and watch it necessarily, but I'm not immediately writing it off like I have some of the other series that they brought out recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw positive first impressions, but it is just very interesting to me that they just don't do it in both parks right away. It's just strange. But it even says on here that she'll be roaming the streets. So it's not even like you said, it's not a designated meet and greet. She's just going to be roaming. So, which is cool. I like that. I honestly, that was such a cool experience for my daughter when Chip and Dale were just playing in the park and just fooling around. It made it real for my daughter. You know what I mean? It to her, it was Chip and Dale really there playing, right? Even though and the meet and greets are great too. We obviously did those too, but it was just a different thing. And it was almost like the return of a lot of the Streetmosphere stuff where it's, it just, I don't know, feels different. I like it.
No, I know exactly what you mean, because, same thing when our son was very young, being in Disneyland, we did have those interactions with characters where we were in Fantasyland and Alice and the Mad Hatter wandered by kind of thing. And, my son, we tried to, we didn't hit him with every single Disney movie before we went to the parks, but, we did watch certain ones like Alice in Wonderland. And he kind of he did that almost wait, this this is real? Like,
wait, I thought this was fake. I thought this was on my TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that like child wonderment of like, oh, this is beyond just, the cartoon that I watched on TV. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so one last Disneyland update, and we can just do this really quickly. But despite the fact that Splash Mountain's still closed, while it's turning into the Tiana's Bayou Adventure attraction next year, they are going to at Disneyland open Tiana's Palace restaurant on September 7th. So that's a quick service that they're reimagining. I see the concept art in this article that I sent you, but I've also seen real pictures of it, and it does look really cool. Mm-hmm. Like they did a really faithful representation of it.
I mean, if you've been to New Orleans Square, I know it'll fit, and I know it will. That they basically, like you said, they pulled it out of the concept art and out of the movie.
Yeah,
and. Yeah, I think, as much as people get on like, oh, they're changing things and whatnot, or feeling like they're taking away stuff, I think this will very quickly become adopted as just a part of New Orleans Square.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think it's that perfect nexus of, bringing in the new, but also not completely destroying the old stuff. Because like it's still going to be New Orleans Square, but this is good. Just be like, oh yeah, there's the quick service, which is Tiana's Palace, of course.
It just fit with the existing theme already, basically. Yeah. Like it just kind of perfectly fit. So yeah. So that's opening soon. So, but that's
September 7th.
September 7th. Yeah, just a couple weeks here, right? So
yeah,
can't believe we're almost into September already. It's crazy.
Wow.
So
yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's all we got. Why don't we wrap this thing up? This is a fun show today.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So as usual, if you guys have any questions for us, you can always reach us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your questions and, just hearing you sharing your own experiences and all that kind of stuff. So, you can always find us there. Also, if you prefer to find us on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. Same on YouTube. On Instagram, it's Welcome Home Pics. So you can find us on any of those platforms. If you're on Facebook, you can look at our Facebook group, which is called Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. It's a great place where a lot of our listeners love to hang out and chat. And, at the beginning of the episode, you heard, our listener questions. A lot of those come from Facebook. So, if you want to get in on the group, come check it out and see what everyone's talking about. If you want to just, talk about more DVC and just Disney stuff in general, it's a great place for that. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can always go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out our different merchandise, t-shirts and mugs and all kinds of great stuff. If you're looking for maybe some shirts for your next trip to the parks, grab a couple on there before you go. And also we do have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/welcomehomepod. That's another way that we have, people that help support the podcast, and Patreon does have exclusive, perks that you can only get on Patreon. It's a different, logo design for the Welcome Home Podcast logo that you can only get on Patreon. And, also if you do support us through Patreon, it does get you access to our Discord server, which is yet another place that we have a lot of great fans that we love to talk to, and we have more intimate conversations just because of the way Discord is. So yeah, if that's of interest to you, please check that out. And last but not least, if you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. It does help more people find the show just because of the way algorithms work. And if you are listening on iTunes, you can write us a review, and we do see those reviews, and we do read them out on the show here because we love hearing from you guys and hearing what you think about the show. So
yeah, this one from One Last Today. Great DVC podcasts. Love the podcast when they discuss DVC and WDW related topics. Especially love that the hosts have families with different aged kids, as we have a 9 and 2-year-old, and know that different ages affect how we vacation and how we spend our DVC points. So, well, they also said, would love if the 30-plus minute non-DVC portions were less frequent, but I can skip through those.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, like, she said WDW-related topics, though. I mean, you know, we talk about all those things. So, I mean, you know, maybe she means non-WDW portions? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you know,
or he, I don't know. She or he, I don't know.
we are a Disney focused podcast, but that doesn't mean that everything we talk about is Disney, because, you know, like we said, you know, it is more about our family experiences and kind of how we all have experienced Disney and DVC, right? So,
exactly.
And other things too.
Yeah, but thank you so much for the review. One Last Today, whoever you are. I like that. That's an interesting screen name. I like it. So One Last Today, thank you. We also just have Most Magical Mom, balance and fun, good balance of Disney topics, DVC updates, and general conversation. Thanks. We'll take it. Yeah. We like to have general conversation. Yeah. We like general conversation. So, but besides reviewing us, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. Also very important. Trevor talked about algorithms. Also very important to subscribe to the podcast. You know, it also helps people find us as well. So you can find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, also on YouTube and on YouTube Music. If that's the way you like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us on both of those places. All the new episodes going forward are on YouTube and YouTube Music, so check that out. Just search for Welcome Home. You'll find us. Reminder to our listeners, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, all opinions we express on the show are our own. So please consult a DVC representative or a Disney cast member for more information about anything we talked about today. A huge thank you again to Jodi from DVC Resale Market for joining the show today. Really enjoyed having her on. Reach out to her for your DVC questions. She's Jodi at dvcresalemarket.com. And then, you know, of course, if you're looking to buy or sell, dvcresalemarket.com/welcome home. Very important that you do that. And then join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion. And of course, more DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit its hair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.